over the next couple of days, there's going to be a significant weather pattern, which also, if you guys didn't know, April is one of the most active weather patterns ever. So we got to get right into this video. There's a lot of forecasts we have to talk about. There's like a 7-day threat. There's so much. So let's dive into. We're going to start off with no radar. We're actually going to start off with Ryan Holiall's website. We're going to read the blog for what's going to happen. So, there's going to be, Texas is going to festivalize Face or Broadway weekend. And you guys can follow along with me. You guys can go to ryanholiall.com/blog, or you guys can just go to ryanholiall.com and press blog, and it brings it to this. It's about a 3-minute read. We're not going to read the whole thing. Texas festivals a rowdy weekend weather pattern. Texas is throwing a massive party this weekend, y'all. Between the Breakaway Music Festival in Dallas, Foodie Land in Houston, and the Boston Red Dirt BBQ out in Midland, half the state is planning to be outside eating and listening to music. But we have a classic spring setup brewing across the southern plains. If you have tickets to any of these outdoor, you need to be close to fencing to the forecast. We're looking at a multi-day severe weather threat that is going on in March right across the state. So what they're talking about is you guys got to be aware if you're going out to any of these places over up in Texas in the South Plains. You guys can also find this on, you can share it on X, Facebook, and you can copy the link. But what they're talking about is you got to pay attention to the forecast once you're planning to be outside for this and stuff. So, I mean, there's like Dallas and Midland. But what's going to happen, it's the warm front lifting across the plains. So we can see this is right in like southern Iowa. So all the cold air is getting transferred back from California because there's like it's like hot on this side, so that's where the hot front's coming from, or the warm front. And there's a cold front out of California, which there's actually storms there for the first time in a while. So like, yeah. We're gonna read this one. The main event hits Texas. By the time we hit the weekend, the focus shifts south. Strong upper level Charlotte and going to dig into the western United States. That system will pump a ton of Gulf moisture right into Texas and Oklahoma. Normally, Dallas sits around a very comfortable 77 degrees for the high this time of year, but we are going to see warming temperatures and a lot of humidity pulling up across the state. That is exactly the feel thunderstorms love. So yeah, it's like cold right now, but there's gonna be all this hot air we can see right here that's gonna transfer onto the cold air, which can cause big storms. This is at festival grounds with approaching storm. This is actually an approaching storm. We can see it's forming there. We're gonna read this. By Sunday, that whole system slides east, so it's gonna be sliding east to like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. So yeah, the severe risk shifts over the I-35 corridor, putting Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin in the crosshairs. If the Breakaway Festival is strung on starting Sunday, don't be the radar closely moderate. So if you're attending like one of these parties, people are gonna have to pay attention to the radar because this can get canceled, and it's most likely if we can have some big storms. So like you have to be weather aware for this. What you need to know is we are not telling you to cancel your weekend plans, but you need to be smart about being outdoors when you're at a festival with thousands of other people. Finding shelter takes time, so like you gotta know a plan. Like you kind of gotta. There's probably a map of the place. There's like a map of every place, so you probably can go to the website of that place, and yeah. Figure out the sturdy buildings are before the sky turns dark. A pop-up tent will not protect you from 60-mile-per-hour winds or large hail. That is true, because the tent's just going to blow down. And what? You're exposed. Keep your phone charged, turn weather alerts on, and listen to the event staff if they tell you to clear this field. So, yeah. You guys can follow this with the newsletter and stuff. But, we're going to look at our tools real quick. We're going to look at the event archive real quick. Right here in Oklahoma. This is like our pretty, big thing right here. I know this is small, this is not weather-wise. But this is where all our storms are about to be. That's a lot of storms. It's not here in Texas yet, because that's not our biggest threat yet. There's tornado damage and all of that. This, like, is expected to go high a lot. Let's look at our top 10 warnings. Or no, actually, no. Not our top 10. I go to our scanners real quick. There's big transformers, 241. That is a sign of a big storm coming. So, 241 transmissions. That is crazy. But we have also had massive flooding. You guys can look at all this yourself at yallcall.app. Get all of this for free. You guys can see when he's gonna live stream and stuff. I follow the same thing, but I do covers, like 3-hour videos. Which, that's why you guys can use Prism Live Studio. Go to a couple videos ago where we have other stuff. You guys can share a live camera with this. But yeah, let's get in the forecast now because there's a lot to talk about. Enough yapping with Ryan Hall. That's just some information to tell you guys about, just to expect, because there's a lot of parties planned, you know, this time of year. When it's warm out, you guys want to get out. Let me turn off my storm chasers real quick. Don't need that on. Hold up, guys. Oh yeah, also guys, we're gonna be trying out a couple new things, so just more things that I'm trying out, so yeah, but we can see there's a lot of like watches coming in. Like there's winter storms, but there's gale, which can cause a lot of flood. Also, before we get into all of this, we're gonna talk about more flooding, but like if you're in like where is this? If you're in Hawaii, flash flooding caused by excessive rainfall is possible. If you're like in Hawaii and you live anywhere in Hawaii, the small island, this is like gonna be turned into a flash flood emergency. There's some big excessive rainfall that's coming, so just watch out. But if we go to like here, there's so much moisture coming in and stuff. We can almost see that. But it's gonna get pretty crazy. So, I mean, if we get a little 3D look at this. There's like a lot of flooding over here, so that's not gonna be good. But here's our USA map right over here. And yeah, we can see all this flooding. Yeah, I know. Okay. Let's get to our first outlook. Alright, first we're going to start about our category, okay? So this is today. It's not as bad, but there's still a general risk on here, okay? Like today's more of a form of a storm. And there's also storms down here. Like this, special marine warning. Okay? There's also big warnings over here. Earlier, actually, there's a tornado warning. It was only for like 2 minutes. They canceled it instantly. They thought a tornado was going to form, but clouds just shifted and the rotate just wasn't fast enough and stuff. But it got changed to a severe thunderstorm, and there's some quarter-size hail. So hopefully everybody's okay here in California, Medford. It's actually 7:08 there right now at the time we're recording this video. You can see right here. This is Eastern time, by the way. And this is the live date. This is just my percentage. You guys don't need to pay attention to that. But yeah. But like, we can see this is a pretty big start, especially for general risk. That shows it's going to be a big storm. That's going to hit the Northwest Plains and stuff. When we get it, it's going to hit over here in Texas and stuff. So yeah, that's our general risk for today. But once we go to tomorrow, we get a little more moderate with this. We get a little more bad with surrounding storms coming into a marginal risk and a slight risk. This comes in, and this is going to push a lot of moisture and a lot of hot air coming from over here and a cold air coming from over there from the temperatures and stuff. We'll show that later. And it's going to collapse right here in the yellow, probably around in the yellow. So, I mean, you guys got to watch out for this because, I mean, this will be pretty big. So, this is the warm weather coming from Florida, you can say. And here's the cold weather. These are both gonna probably end up collapsing. This is gonna cause a big storm in this yellow. So, like, people in this yellow, we can see, like, right outside, there's a marginal risk. And the marginal risk is surrounded by this. But the thing is that we all gotta look for this, is we have to understand that, like, the moisture's all gonna collapse and it's gonna have a big storm. Like, I'm talking 6 tornadoes in this yellow. Like, that's not everything though. Like, there's big hail and stuff. So I mean, this is probably gonna be one of the baddest storms for this week. I am not gonna lie. This is probably one of the worst ones. Well, you guys can stay safe. But once we get back to Friday, I believe this is. Actually, no, before. We can see also in California, okay, down over here in California. Right here in California, there's a form of a storm that's gonna, and part of Oregon, that's gonna make its way halfway into California, like right here. I'd say like Los Angeles and here in Mexicali, which that's Mexico, I think. I wouldn't expect that much storms, but we can still get some. Heading into day 3 doesn't get that bad. We can see over here it lowers a little bit. And there's just over here we gotta watch out Wichita, but then it gets active again. So like, be careful. But like it's gonna get pretty active over here. I mean, I know it goes down to a marginal risk, but still, it might get upgrade up. Like, we know it's earlier in the week, but tomorrow's gonna get the point we're gonna get pretty much true information, which this can get up to like a moderate risk and stuff. And so you guys gotta stay weather repair, and how you do that is this. My sponsor, or not my sponsor, but the thing I recommend you guys using is YallCall. YallCall is a thing that you can get calls from. Don't be scared, but be prepared. You get a personal call from Ryan Hall whenever severe weather threatens your area. Advanced protection for the whole Y'all squad. You can sign up. You can hear a demo call. It's got to put in your phone number and stuff. What the squad gets with YallCall: 24/7 severe weather monitoring, round-the-clock monitoring of severe weather conditions to keep you and your family safe. Travels with you. Receive alerts wherever you go. Your protection follows you no matter where you are, as long as you're using a location, which that's the only way it's going to work. Exclusive alert sites. Get specified alerts tailored to your specific needs and location. Lightning safety built. Advanced lightning detection and alerts keep you safe from dangerous strikes. You can see it in action, what YallCall really, and this is the video. This is gonna work. Yeah, okay, it's not working. But this is free. You guys can go to yallcall.app, or you can go to Ryan Hall Y'all, and then just press more and go to Y'all Squad or YallCall. It's only $99.95 a year, not a month. That's $2. That is $2 a month. That is an insane thing. You just gotta sign up, put in your information, it travels with you. And yeah. They do not loan or put this out. So this is not my only thing today that we're going to talk about. There's going to be another sponsor. Or not sponsor, but what I recommend. Alright, here's our next one. Do you want a AI browser that you can talk to that doesn't share everything, your locations and stuff? Because there's a lot of fake AIs out there that can really. What I recommend is any AIs under OpenAI. OpenAI is a smart AI engine that is by ChatGPT, which can help you not sharing your location when you talk to it. Like, you can see, if I just say, like, is there a EF4 tornado threat this weekend? Okay, so we're gonna send that real quick to ChatGPT. They searched the web. There's no slinger of tornado risk outbreak. What's the latent pattern? Yeah, but this is what, yeah. But let's say you go to like a random AI, okay? Like, let's just say the 123.com. What it would say, it would give this information to hackers that make the other websites. So yeah, what you do is you use anything under OpenAI. OpenAI will never share your information. This is trusted. Use it now. But yeah, I recommend you guys using anything under OpenAI. The most thing I recommend using is ChatGPT, but do anything under OpenAI. That's just all I have to say. Alright, let's go back to the forecast. Alright, so that's our categorical events, okay? Now let's go to our tornadoes, okay? Tomorrow's a 2% risk where we have our, like bullseye of the storm that we were talking about. Which this was, like, yellow on the categorical for today. So there's a 2% tornado risk, which, if you have any plans up here in western Iowa, outside plans, I would just watch out for tornadoes, because there's going to be some big storms out here that are going to start forming and stuff. We can already see a big, like, form out of this in the categorical events. You guys can do that free in the WeatherWise app. But, like, this is green. This can cause a lot of tornadoes, which we remember earlier, all the moisture that's coming in, that's going to collapse in this green, which is going to make like 6 tornadoes in this whole green. It's only a 2% tornado risk, which that's crazy. This gets even more severe with hail. Gets even more severe with hail. Like here, we can already see a 15% hail risk over up in there. First, let's talk about our 5% hail risk. You know, 5% hail risk, which is back here, which this is odd. This is like, you know, this is going to be a severe thunderstorm because hail, it can only produce in severe thunderstorms or tornado warnings and all that. But yeah, that is true though. But like what surrounds this and stuff is a big tornado risk with dots, which that's where going to be like all the hail's going to collapse by. Which the moisture in the back is not always good for the moisture that's covered in a 50% hail risk. It's not always great to produce many tornadoes coming in, which the hail can go up to baseball-sized hail. It can damage roofs, fly roofs off, knock down chicken coops, and a lot of stuff. So if you're in this, don't be scared, be prepared, and just watch out for this for the next couple days. There isn't any severe risk for down here, Wichita. That's where like all our storms are going to be. Now let's talk about exclusive rainfall. All right, let's talk. So going down here in the Florida plains, this can cause major bad flooding down here. We'll also talk about Hawaii. I just want to make sure it's not even on there, so can't talk about Hawaii. But this can cause some big flooding, bad flooding that can happen. If we go to day 2, it gets even more bigger. I'd expect like roads to be all wet and stuff with 2 inches of flooding and all that. I would not drive through this because we don't even know if there's a road there. We don't know if the road goes all the way down. But I just want to say this does sometimes, not likely, but if we're somewhere in like the age of an April storm phase, it definitely activates tropical weather events, which you guys can check this in the WeatherWise app by tropical my tropical weather events. You guys can find it. Tropical cyclone. But this is... Where's the 20% at? What the heck? I can't find it. Oh. It's like over there. That's why. And over there. Okay. But this can cause, it's not likely. We can see. If we go back to this rainfall. But it gets pretty bad, okay? Day 2. Let's go all the way to day 3 now. Now it kind of ends, but it moves up here because this is where all our storms are advanced now. Go to day 4. It goes down there into our Texas plains and stuff. So watch out for some big flooding, and then it makes its way over there to Dallas. But day by day, in Florida, day 1 to day 2 to day 3. Yeah. Just watch out for some big flooding because there's some bad flooding that is coming. Alright. Let's go to our, like, big tropical events by 1 p.m. tomorrow. But we could see there's a lot of tropical, stuff. Actually, before I do this real quick. Before I do this, after all these flooding and stuff, if I can find what day it is, day 6, day 5, day 4, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day... But we can see there's gonna be it's gonna be pretty nice in the Florida plains after, which just stops from cyclone weather activity from forming. So that's good. But that's not always, stopping him. But now let's go to our day by day. What's gonna happen? Day 1, it's gonna get pretty active tomorrow. This all closes in on the USA. Let's go all the way to day 2 now. Now it gets even more bigger. The big line of storms that goes through Iowa and Illinois, and it also goes through part of Texas and goes through most of Oregon and California. But yeah, this is gonna get. And last day, day 3, we can see it gets pretty big. This is a combined storm. Now let's talk about a drought. But this drought, it's gonna be it's gonna get pretty crazy. And also at the time of recording this video at 10:23 Eastern time, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning over here. I just wanna, Hamilton, so you just wanna take shelter there if you're there. Just wanna say we're not covering it, so. But down here we can see there's gonna be massive droughts. Is like warm air and dry, but well, we're having big storms over here. We're gonna get some pretty dry weather activity out where it's dry. So I'm talking about over here and up here in Georgia. This is causing like bad oh my god, bad fire warnings. We can see it's already making its way up here. But this is like a big fire activity risk. And it gets elevated, it goes over there. But watch out for that. And let me just see what else we have to do. Now let's talk about our temperature, which is probably the last thing of our video. But temperature-wise, what I was talking about earlier with the storms and stuff, we can see it's very cold out here and stuff, and it's below average. We can see it gets a little warmer. It's really warm, like over here, which this all meets over here in Des Moines. I'm gonna circle this where my drawing's not working, so sorry if that happens. Let me show where it's all gonna meet. It's gonna meet all around here. Yeah, a tiny bit of Illinois is in that right there. But what we're talking about here is it's bringing me better in the 3D view. But I want to first show it in this point of view. There's really warm air, which is a warm front that's making its way into the circle. There's colder air that's making its way up here. There's even more colder air coming from here, which is all gonna meet in this big circle, which the weather's not gonna be nice with us for that. Now let's look at this in a 3D view. There's cold air coming from there. We can see it's gonna shoot its way into there. Then there's pretty warm water down here that's going to shoot its way over here in the Desmodes and stuff, which is just going to cause bad storms and stuff. Also, I'm sorry if this is like a 30-minute video. I'm planning for it to be a 30-minute video. But this also could happen again down here in Atlanta from cold air making its way over here in that circle. It's already actually circled. Storms are possible over here in the next 8 through 14 days, but obviously that's a while from now, so we can cover that once that happens. That's the temperature. But this is all our moisture and stuff. So we can see there's a big sign of moisture down here in Texas. Where like this is where the big storms are going to be and stuff in the next 6 through 10 days. So like it's right about this. There's a lot of moisture over there. I know it says, that. Now we gotta talk about tropical weather forms, which this is actually not in the USA. So first tropical from Coral Sea. That's making its way from Port Vila. I don't quite know what this is though. I don't know what country this is, but I like to say there's a cyclone forming over here that's gonna make its way to this small country. Yeah, sorry I'm calling it small. But if we go to like enhanced precipitation, this is where forms of these storms are gonna happen. Also over here, this is in Johannesburg. This is the country. Sorry if I say that wrong. But yeah, just looking at hurricane forms there. That's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed that, be sure to like and subscribe and stuff. See you guys in the next one. Stay safe. We'll be posting again tomorrow, twice actually, for the day-by-day guide and stuff. Make sure to get Y'all Call. Make sure to get Ryan Hall. Do RyanHallYall.com. Stay safe. Watch my videos, watch Ryan's videos, watch Max Velocity's videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. What?